A great day to one and all. Welcome to the September 2023 Licensure Examination for Teachers or LET for Mathematics Majors. I am Mr. Kim J.C. Ensho, and I will be your discussant for tonight, and I will be discussing with you the solutions and answers for items 81 until 120. So I hope that you have your the PDF copy of your answers, of the file ready, and as well as the copy of your answers. So we will see if what will be your score later on. Be reminded that for us to be considered pass, or for you to pass, you have to get at least 20 out of the 40 items. So are we all ready, po? I hope we are. And with such, let us begin our discussion with item number, but be reminded for the directions. So shade the box that corresponds to your answer. If the correct answer is not found among the choices, please shade letter E. All right. Let's have number 81. A triangle has vertices at A1, -1, B, -5, -3, and C, -3, 2, as shown there. What is the equation of the median to segment AC? Did you go for letter A, B, C, or D? Please comment your answer po. All right, sabi ni Sir Vasquez, letter E daw. Okay. Letter E din daw, sabi ni Sir Chat. Okay, so let's see po if it is letter E. If it is really letter E. No. And for that, tandaan po natin, no, if we are talking about the median to segment AC, okay, let's see if E is indeed the correct answer. So from this one, since we are looking for the equation of the median to AC po, so median, no? So we have to determine the midpoint po muna ng segment CA. And with such, we can utilize the midpoint formula, which is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 all over 2, comma, y sub 1 plus y sub 2 all over 2. So by substitution po, that would be -3 plus 1 all over 2, comma, 2 plus -1 all over 2, and that simplifies to -1/2. So therefore, that's our midpoint here. Here po pala, no? But apart from that, knowing that this is our midpoint, to determine the median, we have to connect point B with point D. And we have here the equation, the line that we're looking for. And since, in my case, 2 points determine a line, and what I did was I determined first the slope of PD. That is the slope of the slope of the line connecting -5, -3, and -1/2. And so, and if you could see po, no, that the slope of BD, that would be 1/2 minus -3 all over -1 minus -5. When you simplify it, it will give you 7/8 as your slope. So therefore, the slope of this line is BD. And knowing that we have a slope, we can choose now any of the 2 points. We can choose either point B or point D and utilize what we call the point slope form of your line. And with such, that would be by substitution, I chose the point -5, -3, no? So -5 is x sub 1, -3 is y sub 1, and your slope is 7/8. Okay. So with that, by substitution, that's y minus -3 equals 7/8 times the quantity x minus negative 5. So simplifying, negative minus negative 3 is plus 3. And minus negative 5 is plus 5. And so we have arrived to y plus 3 equals 7/8 times the quantity x plus 5. Multiplying both sides by 8 to clear up fractions, that would be 8 times y plus 3 will be 8y plus 24. I hope you got it. And so, yung matitira po dito sa right-hand side ay 7 times the quantity x plus 5 na lang po. And distributing this, so 7 times x will be 7x. And 7 times positive 5 will be plus 35. That's why I have 8y plus 24 equals 7x plus 35. Then, I subtracted both sides by 35. And I also subtracted both sides by 8y. And that's why we arrived to this one po. Simplifying the left-hand side, 24 minus 35 gives you negative 11 equals the right-hand side, which is 7x minus 8y. And using what we call the symmetric property of equality, we could say that 7x minus 8y equals negative 11 is our required equation. And since this is not one of the choices, so the correct answer here is letter E. Okay. Noted po, Teacher MJ. So to those who answered E, tama po kayo. Okay. 82. The endpoints of the diameter of a circle have coordinates negative 5, 1 and 5, 7. What are the coordinates of its center? Did you go for A, B, C, or D? Grabe ka, search siya. Oo nga, no? Crush talaga. Grabe siya. Okay. Letter A. Okay. Take note po, to make it simple for all of us, given the diameter, the endpoints of your diameter, to determine the coordinates of your center, all you have to do po is determine the midpoint. You know? That's why, utilizing the midpoint formula again, so by substitution, negative 5, 1 are your x sub 1 and y sub 1 respectively. 5, 7 are your x sub 2 and your y sub 2 respectively. With such, that would be negative 5 plus 5 all over 2, comma, 1 plus 7 all over 2. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0 over 2, which is 0. 1 plus 7 is 8 all over 2, which is 4. Therefore, we are sure that the coordinates of your center is 0, 4, letter A po. Okay. So sa lahat ng sumagot ng A, kayo na. Good job. 83. Sige po. Try natin to. What is the equation of the line passing through 3, 5 and is perpendicular to 2x plus 3y equals negative 1? Sige po, comment. Is it B or 83? B din, okay. Actually, marami po tayong techniques na pwedeng gawin dito. One technique is this. Ito po yung technique na ipinagbabawal. If you wish to express your answer directly in standard form, ito po yung ginagawa natin. Notice nyo po, 2x plus 3y equals negative 1 ang given. Kung perpendicular po ang hinahanap, ito po yung technique. Ipagpalit nyo po yung coefficients ng x at saka ni y. Yung coefficient ni x ay mapupunta sa y at saka yung coefficient ni y ay mapupunta sa iyong x. Tapos, after mo siyang ipagpalit, di ba dapat 3x plus 2y ito? Palitan nyo lang po yung isang sign sa kanila. Palitan nyo po. Either palitan nyo yung sign ng x or palitan nyo po yung sign ng y. Isa lang po yung palitan nyo ha, wag po yung dalawa. So in my case, yung pinalitan ko lang po ay yung coefficient, yung sign ng y. That's why, and of course, they differ by a constant. That's why I equated it to C po. Yan po yung technique. No? And So, and after which po, na nagawa mo na ito, i-substitute mo na po yung 3, 5. So 3 is the value of x and 5 is the value of y. So with such, that would be 3 times 3 minus 2 times 5 equals c. That simplifies to 9 minus 10 equals c, or negative 1 equals c. At dahil meron na po tayong value ng c which is negative 1, bumalik po kayo dito and substitute c with negative 1. That's why the line that we are looking for is 3x minus 2y equals negative 1. And that is letter B. Sa lahat ng sumagot ng B, be happy. Yan, okay. Sige po, I hope you got it. Okay, let's go to item number 84. What are the coordinates of the center of x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 2y equals 11? Did you go for, okay, many of you answered letter D, which is negative 2, 1. Actually, there are many ways of doing this po. And I will show you the longer way. Okay, in this case, we will group together all terms containing the same variable. So I have here, I placed nearby each other, x squared plus 4x. And I have here y squared minus 2y equals 11. Then what we will do next is we will employ what we call completing the square. No? So to complete the square po, anyway, the coefficients of x squared and y squared are already equal to 1. So just divide 4 by 2. 4 divided by 2 will be 2. Then square the result will give you 4. That's the reason we added 4 here. For the y squared minus 2y part, I divided the coefficient of y by 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Then square it. That will give you positive 1. That's the reason po, no? Nag-completing the square po tayo and added 4 and 1 on the left-hand side. But remember, whatever is added on the left side should also be added on the right side. That's why I added also 4 and 1 sa right side po natin. And x squared plus 4x plus 4, the purpose of completing the square is to make them perfect square trinomials po. So with such, x squared plus 4x plus 4 could be expressed as x plus 2 quantity squared, and y squared minus 2y plus 1 could be expressed as y minus 1 quantity squared equals, that dito po sa right hand side, 11 plus 4 plus 1, we got 16. And this is now po what we call the standard form of the equation of your circle. Since we are asking po of the center of your circle, yung ini-equate po natin yung nasa loob to 0. If x plus 2 equals 0, that means x is equal to negative 2. If y minus 1 is equal to 0, that means y is equal to 1. Hence, the center of our circle is letter D. Indeed, negative 2, 1. Okay. Thank you. 85. I hope you got it. What is the area in square units of the circle x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 2y equals 11? Is it 4 pi, 8 pi, 16 pi, or 32 pi? Okay, according to the answers we have here, you have letter C according to 5 people. And actually, this is the same equation as we had for the previous item, no? Previously, we knew that the given equation in standard form is x plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared equals 16. Tandaan po natin. In standard form po natin, this constant at the right is actually your r squared. Okay? Your center is negative 2, comma 1, ang value na to po, ito po ay r squared actually. At kung kukunin mong radius, syempre radius is 4. No? And we know that the area of your circle is pi r squared. And since knowing that r squared is already 16, and by substitution, that's pi times 16, or you get an area of 16 pi square units, letter C. Good job. May questions po kayo or clarifications? If you have po, please feel free to ask po sa ating chat, no? If ever po. Salamat. Next number, 86. The orthocenter of a triangle is the intersection of the three lengths of a triangle. Did you go for altitude, angle bisectors, medians, or perpendicular bisectors? All right. We have letter A. Yung sagot ng karamihan. May sumagot din ng C. Let's see who got it right. Tandaan po natin ha. So these are what you call your secondary parts of your triangles. Tandaan po natin. The intersection of the three perpendicular bisectors is what we call circumcenter. The intersection of the three angle bisectors is what we call incenter po. The intersection of your three medians, we call that centroid. And the intersection of your three altitudes is what we call orthocenter. Indeed, letter A is the correct answer. All right, mukhang marami yan makaka-perfect mamaya. 87. For what value of y will make 3, 5, and 7, y determine a line that rises to the right? Did you go for A? Y is greater than or equal to 5. B, y is greater than 5. C, y is less than or equal to 6. Or D, y is less than 6. Wow, unanimous po yata yung sumagot for number 87. Now, tandaan po natin ha, we have to remember that the line rises to the right if the value of your slope is positive. Which means if you have the points 3, 5, and 7y, your slope, which is y sub 2 minus y sub 1, all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, should be greater than 0 if it indeed rises to the right. So by substitution po, that would be y minus 5 all over 7 minus 3, because that's x, y sub 2 minus y sub 1, all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That's why I have y minus 5 all over 7 minus 3 is greater than 0. The denominator simplifies to 4, no? That's why y minus 5 all over 4 is greater than 0. Multiplying both sides by 4 to clear off fractions, yung 4 times 0 naman ay magiging 0 din. So that's why yung left side magiging y minus 5, which is now greater than 0. And adding both sides by 5, you get y should be greater than 5. Letter B. Tama po yung B. Take note, we will not include the equal to side because kung equal siya sa 5, magiging 0 yung slope. And if the slope is 0, then it is not rising to the right po. That's why y is greater than 5 po. Yung tamang sagot natin. Sa lahat ng nakakuha niyan, good job. But if not, okay lang po yun. Yung mahalaga po ay natututo tayo. 88. What is secant A? Did you go for 13 12ths, 12 13ths, 5 13ths, or 13 fifths? Okay. Kung inyo pong matatandaan, anong trigonometric ratio po? Di ba? We have hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. Ano po yung trigonometric ratio ng secant? According to Sir Chad, hypotenuse over adjacent, and you are actually correct po. So with respect to the acute angle A here, the hypotenuse of the triangle is this 13 because it is the side opposite po ng ating right angle, di po ba? So 13 po yung ating hypotenuse, 5 po is opposite ng A, at saka yung 12 yung adjacent kay A. So hypotenuse is 13 and adjacent is 12, which tells us that secant A is 13 over 12. Tama nga po, siya. Okay, siya ang dahilan kung bakit kanya iniwan. Joke lang po, clear lang. So lahat po ng sumagot ng A, tama. I hope nakuha po natin. 89. In a right triangle with acute angle alpha, if tangent alpha equals 8/15, what is the value of cosecant alpha? Cosecant alpha pala to. Sorry. Letter A daw. Tingnan po natin. So with this, no? So remember that the definition of tangent alpha is opposite. If this is your acute angle alpha, it's actually opposite over adjacent. Knowing na ito po yung triangle natin, you see po that the hypotenuse is missing. And we could determine the hypotenuse by using the Pythagorean theorem. So by the Pythagorean theorem, no, that would be 15 squared plus 8 squared equals this hypotenuse. Let's call this C squared. 15 squared plus 8 squared, that's 225 plus 64, which is 289. And extracting only the principal square root because the hypotenuse is always positive, that gives you the length of your hypotenuse, which is 17 units. And tandaan po natin that cosecant alpha is equal to hypotenuse over opposite. So yung hypotenuse po natin ay nalaman na po natin 17. At saka yung opposite po natin ay 8. So really, indeed, the correct answer is letter A. I hope you got it po. 90. In a right triangle, if cosine theta equals 12/13, what is sine theta? Okay, letter B yung sagot, karamihan sa akin. Tama nga ba yung 5/13? Tama nga ba yan si Sir Chad, si Sir Jason, si Ma'am Ayesa, si Ma'am Basket, si Ma'am Nerds? Let's see. If this is your triangle po, no, sabi kasi cosine theta 12/13. And cosine is defined as adjacent. If this is your theta, then this is adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's represent the missing side by T. By the Pythagorean theorem, that's 12 squared plus T squared equals 13 squared. And what that simplifies to 144 because that's 12 squared. 30 squared is 169. So 144 plus T squared equals 169. Subtracting both sides by 144 po, you have T squared equals 25. And T is actually plus minus 5 if we extract square roots. However, since this is a triangle and this side should have a positive length, that's why we adopted 5 as the length of that side. And yung tinatanong po sa atin ay sine theta, no? So that would be opposite over hypotenuse, which is opposite 5 over 13. Letter B po. Okay. Yes, and also, Sir Chad here has an alternate solution. You will take the arc cosine of 12 over 13. Tama nga po naman. You can take the arc cosine of 12 over 13 kung kanina to get the value of theta. And dahil meron pa ng theta to get the value of sine, so you have the sine of that value. Thank you po, Sir Chat, for the additional information. Tama po. 91. Consider an angle in a Cartesian plane in standard position. The terminal side of 405 degrees is located in what quadrant? Did you go for quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4? Tandaan po natin, remember po natin that if an angle is positive, then starting from the right side of the x-axis, it should be rotated in a counterclockwise direction. Whereas if the angle is negative, it should be rotated in a clockwise direction. Thank you po. That's why ito po siya actually. No? Ito po yung initial side natin. So dito, you will go 90, 180, 270, 360. Bawat quadrant kasi 90 degrees yan. So from here to here, that's already 360 degrees. But 405 yun eh. So 405 minus 360, kailangan mo pa ng additional 45 degrees na ikot at saka dito yun. And located here, you connect the origin and this is now the terminal side of 405 degrees, which is indeed located in quadrant 1. Letter A po, yung tamang sagot natin. Wow. Bilib po ako Mukhang marami po yata makaka-perfect sa trigo part natin. Thank you po. Kung may tanong po huwag po kayong mahiyang magtanong or mag-chat po sa atin. Salamat po. 92. What is the reference angle in degrees of 210 degrees? Did you go for 30, 45, 60, or 75? Many are convinced again with letter A. So far, we have 5 people who commented. And the same way kanina, positive po yung angle natin eh. So, yeah. But remember po natin, a reference angle is the positive acute angle between the terminal side of theta and the x-axis. So ganito po So if your angle is located in quadrant 1, then this is your reference angle. If the terminal side of your angle is located in quadrant 2, then the one here in red is actually your reference angle. If it is located in quadrant 3, either clockwise or counterclockwise direction po yan Dito po yung ating reference angle. And for quadrant 4, dito po siya makikita. Now, kung ating pong makikita o mapapansin kanina, 210 degrees po yun eh. So mula dito, 90, 180, at may sobra ka pang 30 degrees. At dahil nga dito siya sa third quadrant makikita, and by definition, it is the reference angle is the smallest acute angle between the x-axis and the terminal side. That's why ito nga po, 30 degrees is the correct answer. Letter A. All right. 93. Which of the following refers to angles in standard position? Which of the following refers to angles in standard position, meaning angles with the initial side on the positive x-axis that have a common terminal side? Did you go for reference, quadrantal, coterminal, or complementary? If you answered C, you are actually correct. When we say coterminal angles, they have the same initial side and they have the same terminal side. Like this one po, If you have 405 degrees, the terminal side is located at this, for example, here. If you have negative 315 degrees, its reference angle po, is still, they share the same terminal side. And of course, the same reference angle. Kapag sinabi naman po nating reference angle, it is the smallest angle made by the terminal side of the given angle with the x-axis. Kapag quadrantal angle naman po yung pinag-uusapan natin, it is an angle in standard position whose terminal ray lies along one of the axes. Meaning, yung isang quadrantal angle, yung terminal side niya pwedeng nasa y-axis or sa x-axis nakikita. When the sum of two angles is 90 degrees, then the angles are actually complementary. So letter C po yung tamang sagot dito. All right, so far so good. 94. If cosine theta is equal to 3/5, which of the following could be the value of secant theta? Is it A, 25/9, B, 21/25, C, 7/25, or D, 9/25? Okay, letter E daw. Let's see. Let's see if E is correct. Remember that cosine theta equals 3/5. And tandaan po natin ha, if we are keen enough, we actually know that secant theta is the reciprocal of cosine theta. In fact, cosine theta and secant theta are reciprocals of one another. So the correct answer is 5/3. And remember, it's not found among the choices. So we go po with letter E. All right. 95. So tama po, 5/3. Letter E. Marami po natin nakakuha. 95. What is the value of x there in degrees? What do you think is the approximate value? All right, letter D daw. According to Ma'am Basket, Sir Chad, Sir Jason, Ma'am Ayesa, Sir Christine. Okay, our cosine law daw, sabi ni Sir Chad. And I agree with that. In fact, what I did here is I used what we call the law of cosines muna. That is, c squared, it's just one of them, no? C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. Wherein, the c here that I'm referring to is the side. Take note that you can use the, what they call this, the law of cosine if you are given two things. It's either you have what we call SSS or the sine angle side. So in this case, we can use the law of cosines here. And the C here is opposite of your angle. So C is 16. X here is your C. And by substitution po, that 16 squared is equal to 22 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 22 times 8 times cosine x degrees. If I simplify everything, it would look like this, no? 256 equals 484 plus 64 minus 352 cosine x. Simplifying further, I added both sides, 352 cosine x, so naging positive po ito dito. Naging positive po siya dito. Then 484 plus 64, then I subtracted immediately with 256 gives me 292. And dividing both sides by 352, we were able to determine cosine x degrees as 292 over 352. Pero dahil yung hinahanap po natin ay angle x at cosine x po yung given, we have to determine the arc cosine or the cosine inverse of both sides. And using po your calculator, the cosine inverse of 292 over 352 is approximately 33.9 degrees. So tama po yung letter T. Good job. Kung may tanong po, please feel free to message me. Okay? So I hope that you got it, especially on how to use the cosine. 96. If the logarithm of a base b is equal to 1.23, what do you call 1? Is it the mantissa, the characteristic, the base, or the anti-logarithm? Let's see. Letter B daw, characteristic. Kulayat ang sumagot ng A at saka C at saka D. Let's see. Tandaan po natin, para hindi po tayo mawala, tandaan po ninyo yung cm, no? Or centimeter. That is C.N. In other words, the number before the decimal point is what we call characteristic. And the number at the right of your decimal point is what you call mantissa. The characteristic is the whole number part, and the mantissa is the non-negative decimal part. That's why po, in the 1.23 here, 1 is called the characteristic, and the 23 is your mantissa actually. So letter B. Tama po. Correct po, Sir Chan. At sa lahat po ng sumagot, congratulations. 97. Assuming that the expression at X expression is actually defined at X. No? What is cosecant X times cosine X times tangent X when simplified? Is it A0, B1, C sine X, or D secant X? Wow. Grabe, consistent ata, no? So, parang sa lahat ng sumagot, B yung sagot natin. Alright. Let's see kung tama kayo. So, we have to use our identities in trigonometry, no? So, given cosecant X times cosine X times tangent X, marami pong paraan upang isolve to. One way is, if possible, we can express all of these functions in terms of sine or cosine po. Sige. Ano po yung cosecant X in terms of sine or cosine? Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, no? Tama. So I agree with Ma'am Vasquez. So the cosecant X is actually 1 over sine X. How about po yung tangent X in terms of sine and or cosine? Ano po si tangent X? Very good. Thank you ulit, Ma'am Vasquez. It's actually sine X over cosine X. That's why, by substitution, you have 1 over sine X times cosine X times sine X over cosine X. Kung inyo pong mapapansin, I multiply the 1 over sine X times cosine X to arrive at cosine X over sine X. And of course, I copy the last expression muna, which is sine X over cosine X. So you see, they are actually reciprocals of one another, right? And if you multiply any non-zero real number with in this case, no, let's assume na defined po ito. If you have an expression with its reciprocal, their product is actually equal to 1. Because the cosine X over cosine X cancels, that's 1 over 1. This will become 1 over 1 as well for sine X over sine X. So letter B is the correct answer po. 98. What is 2 tangent theta secant theta in terms of sine theta? Did you go for A, 2 sine theta all over 1 minus 2 sine squared theta? B, 2 sine theta all over 1 plus sine squared theta? How about C or D? Grabe kayo, consistent na. Letter A, yung sagot ninyo. Actually, let's see kung tama po kayo. So, just like the previous example, yung ginawa ko po dito ay in-express ko siya in terms of sine and or cosine. No? And with that, 2, the tangent theta, I express it as sine theta over cosine theta. This is actually based on our identities. And secant theta is the reciprocal of cosine. So secant theta is 1 over cosine theta. Now, I multiply the denominators and cosine theta times cosine theta becomes cosine squared theta. And your numerator is 2 times sine theta times 1, which is 2 sine theta po sa ating numerator. Pero tandaan po natin ha, we actually have an identity, di po ba? That 1, di ba, meron tayong Pythagorean identity na sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. That's why we could actually derive or express cosine squared theta as 1 minus sine squared theta. Letter A po yung ating tamang sagot. Okay. Hindi wow. Malapit na tayo matapos sa first 20 items natin. I hope na naintindihan po natin. No? And kung hindi po natin maintindihan, probably you could ask me questions, or it's also good, no, to learn more about trigonometry. 99. Simplify cosecant squared x minus cotangent squared x. Is it A, -1, B, 0, C, 1, or D, 1.5? All right. Marami po ang sumagot ng letter. I mean, so far sa lahat, no? Apat na sumagot, sa 5 pala. C yung sagot ninyo. If you answered 1, actually it's based on the Pythagorean identity. Tandaan po natin, no? One of our Pythagorean identities, no, sa trigonometry po natin, ay meron po tayong cosecant squared x is equal to cotangent squared x plus 1. You could actually derive this from the sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. But I hope you could remember this identity. And take note po, yung expression po natin ay kailangan nating mag-subtract ng cotangent squared x sa cosecant squared x. That's why, from this given equation, the cotangent squared x, which is positive on the right-hand side, mag-subtract po tayo, di ba? Ito po ay magiging negative sa ating left-hand side. That's why you have cosecant squared x minus cotangent squared x equals 1. Letter C. So far, so good po, mga kaguro. I hope you are having a great time so far. Okay. 100. Which of the following is equal to cosine of pi over 12? Okay, letter C daw, sabi ni Sir Chad. Okay, let's see if you are right. Okay, marami pong paraan upang gawin to. Of course, you could use your calculators with you. For now, I will convert this radians to degrees. Remember, to convert radians to degrees, we can multiply it by the conversion factor, which is 180 degrees over pi. And their product is 15 degrees. So pi over 12, cosine pi over 12 is equal to cosine of 15 degrees. And we have to remember po, no, that 15 degrees could be expressed as the difference of two special angles, namely 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay? That's why yung ginamit ko pong identity dito ay, remember po, if we have cosine of A minus B is equal to cosine A times cosine B plus sine A times sine B. That's why sabi nila cos, sin, sin. Tapos, kung dito naman po, kung minus, dapat magkabaliktad ng signs. Kung minus dito, plus. Kung dito po plus, dapat minus po yan dito. So by letting A be equal to 45 degrees and letting B be equal to 30 degrees, we could actually see that cosine of 45 degrees minus 30 degrees is equal to cosine of 45 times cosine 30 plus sine 45 times sine 30 by substitution. Cosine 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine 30 is square root of 3 all over 2. Plus sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Sine 30 is 1/2. Multiplying these two numbers gives you square root of 6 over 4. Square root of 2 over 2 times 1/2 gives you square root of 2 over 4. At dahil makikita po ninyo na similar fractions po sila kasi pagkaparehas po sila ng denominator. So cosine 15 is actually, you could combine them into a single fraction or simplify it to square root of 6 plus square root of 2 all over 4, which is letter C. So that concludes the 100 items. Let's proceed to the next one. Let's proceed to item number 101. The following belongs to the domain of y equals tangent x, except did you go for a pi, pi over 3, 3 pi over 2, or pi over 6? We're talking about radians here, by the way. Letter C daw. Tama nga ba yung C? Tandaan po natin that tangent is equal to sine over cosine. Di po ba? Okay, anotin po mamaya sana po, sana pumilis na po yung internet natin. And tandaan po natin, undefined po siya whenever cosine x is equal to 0. And actually, here's the domain po, no, of tangent x. It could be any as long as x is not equal to negative 3 pi over 2, negative pi over 2, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, and so on. That's why if you could see, 3 pi over 2 is actually one of the numbers here, no, na hindi dapat part ng domain. That's why among the choices, 3 pi over 2 po yung hindi kasal sa domain. And I agree with you, Sir Chat, no, yung asymptote po is pi over 2 plus k pi. Okay. Sige po. So, Ma'am Sheng, no? So, kung makabalik po tayo mamaya, so, turuan po kayo. Salamat po. Or if you wish, you could encode all of them to our calculator and check which one gives you undefined results. Sige po, Ma'am Sheng, mamaya po. 102. In triangle ABC, A is 40 degrees. B is 50 degrees and A is 10. What is B? Take note po ha, sa ating trigonometry po, if it is capital A, it means angle. If it is small letter A, it is the opposite side of the small letter A is the opposite side of capital of angle A. In a similar manner, ganun din po dito, no? Yung angle B na 50 degrees, yung opposite side po niya ay itong small letter B. Shall we use law of sines or law of cosines? How noted po? Okay, I agree. Thank you po, Sir Chad. And we will use what we call the sine law. Kasi, by the law of sines, actually tatlo yan. A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C po yan. But since dalawang angles na naman po at saka dalawang opposite sides yung given, by substitution po, in right triangle ABC, okay, actually, in using the law of sines, it could be any triangle in the Euclidean plane. It doesn't matter if your triangle is right or not, no? So the law of sines is applicable. So whether the angle C is a right angle or not, right angle ba siya? Tingnan po natin. Okay, in this case, yeah, right angle po siya. Tama po. It so happened kasi 50 plus 40 is 90, so yung remaining angle is 90 degrees. So right angle nga siya. Pero even though kahit hindi mo alam yon, we can still use the law of cosines. The law of sines, I mean. So we have 10 over sine 40 degrees equals b over sine 50 degrees. No? And multiplying both sides by sine 50 degrees to isolate b. So 10 times sine 50 degrees times sine 40 degrees, that's actually equal to b. And using your calculators, you could get a value that is approximately 11.92. Letter A. Okay. Let's proceed to item number 103. What is the area in square units of the parallelogram as shown? Tingnan niyo po. Did you go for letter A, B, C, or D for number 103? 24 square root of 3, 48 square root of 3, 24 square root of 2, or 48 square root of 3? Okay, letter A yung sagot. Tandaan po natin ha. Notice nyo po sa parallelogram na to, given po yung SAS. Meron po tayong side, angle, included angle, side, SAS. And to determine the area of a parallelogram given SAS or SAS, the formula is actually area equals AB sine C, where A and B are the two consecutive sides, and C is the included angle between them. So by substitution po, area is equal to 8 times 6 times sine 120 degrees, which when simplified or using your calculators will actually give you letter A, 24 square root of 3 units. So you could, if you wish po, no, you could use your calculator directly and it will give you the same answer po. Letter A. 104. Yes, tama po Sir Chad, pero mayroon ka kasing 1/2, nag-times 2 ka, so that's why nag-AB na lang siya. AB sine X na lang yung sa'yo. That's why nag-cancel na lang siya. 104. So this should be BEC, okay? In the figure, ABCD is a rectangle and diagonals BD and AC intersect at E. If EC equals 15 cm and angle θ equals 100 degrees, what is the approximate area in cm squared of ABCD? Which of A, B, C, or D did you answer? Is your answer, I mean? Sir Chad, Ma'am Basket, Sir Crispin's answer is letter C. Actually, kung inyo pong mapapansin actually ito po siya. Mayroon pong technique dito. Remember, for a rectangle, if two diagonals are drawn, then actually the 4 segments, no, ito po, yung 4 na to, are actually congruent to one another. That's why, if this is 15, this should also be 15 as well. And this is 100 degrees. Now, kung mapapansin po ninyo, meron po tayong SAS format. Again, side, angle, side. But this time, yung sa previous item kasi, parallelogram yun eh. But if you wish to determine the area of a triangle given side, angle, side, or the SAS format, the formula is actually area of BEC equals 1/2 AB sine C, where A, B again are the 2 consecutive sides, and C is the included angle in this case. Pero kung mapapansin po ninyo, bakit 1/2? Kasi nga, yung triangle are 1/2 ng area ng parallelogram. That's why, yung sa parallelogram po kanina, AB sine sila. Pero dahil triangle, which is half of your parallelogram, that's why meron pong 1/2. So that's why by substitute, but tandaan po natin, di ba yung ABCD, Ito po, 4 ito. Bakit nag-times 4 ako? And I agree with Sir Chad na times 4 po. Bakit? Kasi meron po tayong theorem na if you draw the two diagonals of a rectangle, then the four distinct, then these four non-overlapping triangles actually have the same area. So, 4 po ito. Iba-iba yung sizes, pero pare-pareho po yung areas nila. That's why nag-times 4 po ako. That's why 4 times 1/2 AB sine C gives us 2AB sine C. No? And by substitution, our A and B are both 15 and our angle is 100 degrees. So 2 times 15 times 15 times sine 100 degrees gives us 443.16 centimeters squared approximately. Letter C. All right. So far, so good po mga kaguro. 105. If the variance is 9, statistics na po tayo. If the variance is 9, then the standard deviation is it 3, 9, 81, or 100? Paki-comment po ng sagot natin. Ano nga ba yung relationship ng variance sa standard deviation? Let's see. A yung sagot. Okay, lahat ata ng sumagot, letter A. Consistent po. Tandaan po natin that standard deviation or SD is the positive square root of the variance. Take note, standard deviation can never be negative. So if variance is 9, the positive square root of 9 is 3. Therefore, we could say that the standard deviation of this data set is actually 3. Letter A. 106. Suppose a data set has a mean of 18. If each score of this data set is added by 3, what will be the new mean? Will it still be 18, 21, 23, or 54? Okay, so far, Ma'am Basket, Sir Crispin, Sir Chad, Ma'am Nurse answered letter B, which is 21. Let's see if you got it right. Tandaan po natin, since each score is added by 3, then it follows that the overall mean will actually increase by 3. Again ha, kapag lahat po ay inada ng the same constant. Hence, the new mean will be 18 plus 3 or 21. Letter B. All right. Congrats po sa lahat ng sumagot ng B. 107. Suppose a data set has a standard deviation of 4.0. This time, more of analysis po tayo. If each score of this data set is subtracted by 1, what will be its standard deviation? Is it A, 3, B, 4, C, 5, or D, 7? Wow. Sagot ng karamihan sa atin or sagot ng ninyo ay B. So, still 4 yung sagot ninyo. Tingnan natin kung tama nga ba ang 4 o baka mali sila. Okay. Actually, it's actually a proven fact or a theorem. That is, adding or subtracting the same value to every data point will change the mean. However, it will not change the standard deviation. You can actually verify it in this source if you wish po. That's why the mean will change. If you add po ha or subtract by the same constant, the mean will actually change. But the standard deviation will remain the same. So tama po yung ating letter B. All right. Moving on, kasi kailangan nating mag-move on mga kaguro. if the range of a set of ungrouped data is 9 and the lowest score is 11, what is the highest score? Is it 2, 19, 20, or 21? Okay. Kung inyo pong matatandaan, ano nga po ba yung formula sa pagkuha ng ating range ng set of ungrouped data? What's the formula? Very good. Range is actually highest score minus the lowest score. Thank you po, Ma'am Vasquez, Sir Jason, Ma'am Nurse. And by substituting it to this formula, we know that the range is 9. The lowest score is 11. So 9 is equal to the highest score minus 11. Adding both sides by 11, we found out that the highest score in this data set is 20. Letter C. Good job. 109. I would like to determine the top 5 scorers in a certain competition. I will be more concerned with blank data. Will you go for nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio data? Statistics tayo. B. Okay. So let's see if you got it right. Actually, the correct answer is indeed B. When we say ordinal data, this ordinal data classifies variables into categories which have a natural order or rank. So if ranking is involved, no, among your data set, for example, school grades, meron siya like A, B, C. Ranking is involved here because A is known to be a higher grade than B and C. B is known to be a higher grade than C as well. Education level is also ordinal data. Why? It's assumed that master's degree holders have more or less have attended more years of education than bachelors, perhaps, and PhD graduates more or less have attended more number of years, perhaps, than bachelors and masters. The same thing with seniority level. So that's why if ranking is involved, ordinal data. Letter B. 110. If you are planning to get data from the entire population, then you will conduct is it A, census, sample, population survey, or D, a tally? Your answer is census. Tama nga ba si census? And if you answered census, you are actually correct. A census involves the complete enumeration of the population in a country, territory, or area, and should be conducted at least once every 10 years. So usually in some countries, they conduct every 10 years. And usually in research, you can conduct a census if you intend to gather data from all the members of the population. Letter A. Okay. 111. The following are continuous variables exempt. Is it weight, temperature, electric bill, or the number of people? Continuous. We have two types of quantitative variables. We have what we call discrete and what we call continuous. Okay, so merong D, meron ding C. Pero sino nga ba yung sino kaya ang tama? Tandaan po natin ha, when we say continuous variables, these variables could be measured. You gather quantitative data through measurement. When we say discrete naman po, discrete quantitative variable, you gather data by means of counting. So, di ba yung weight mini-measure mo? So, weight is continuous. Temperature is also continuous since you measure temperature by, say, a thermometer. Electric bill is also continuous considering you have a meter for that. But number of people is actually discrete. Letter D po yung ating tamang sagot. Kasi kapag binibilang siya, discrete. Pero kapag minimeasure siya, continuous. So letter D po. Sa lahat ng sumagot ng D, wow, correct po kayo. 112. If the table is a probability distribution function, what must be the value in the remaining cell? Is it A, 0, B, 0.15, C, 0.25, or D, 0.30? PDF, probability distribution function. Okay, I hope you understand here the meaning, no? Tandaan po natin, we have a probability distribution function if the sum of all probabilities is equal to 1 or 100% po dapat. That's why dahil merong missing dyan, in the probability distribution function, the sum of all probabilities should be 1. So dahil meron kang P of 5 dito, yung hinahanap natin, we will add the 0.10, the 0.15, 0.25, 0.10, and 0.10, and subtract it from 1, and that will give you 0.30, letter D. Okay, congratulations sa mga nakakuha. So I hope you got it right po. 113. Which of the following sets does not represent a probability distribution function? So it's like asking, saan sa kanila kung saan yung probabilities ay hindi nag-add up to 1? Letter D nga ba for 113? Let's see. For this item, you could actually see it's indeed letter D. Kasi kung i-add mo naman si 0.3, si 0.35, at saka si 0.25, it's just actually not equal to 1. In fact, equal siya sa 0.9 only. At dahil you can verify for A, B, and C na yung sum nila ay 1. That's why letter D is not a probability distribution function. Okay. 114. Which of the following is an example of nominal data? Did you go for temperature in degrees Celsius? Temperature in Kelvin? C, ranking of racers? Or D, civil status? Okay. So D pa rin yung pulso ng mga sumagot. Tandaan po natin, apat po yan eh. We have what we call, for the levels of measurement, apat po sila. From lowest to highest, we have nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal is just named variables. No? Nominal data, it's more of categories, categorizing. Ordinal data, it's also has the characteristics of nominal. It is named, pero meron lang ordering or ranking for ordinal. For interval, it has all the characteristics of nominal and ordinal data, pero the proportionate interval, plus there is an additional proportionate interval between your variables na po. Whereas for the ratio data, it has all the characteristics of your interval data. However, yung kinagandahan sa ratio data ay meron siyang true or absolute zero. Interval data does not have a true zero, whereas ratio data has a true zero. That's why letter D po yung sagot dito. In fact, letter A, temperature in degrees Celsius, is interval. Temperature in Kelvin is actually ratio data. Ranking of racers is ordinal, and civil status is nominal. Letter D. Okay, good job. 115. A population has a mean IQ of 110. The value of 110.0 is an example of what we call what? Do you call it statistic, sample, population, or parameter? Okay, D, parameter daw. If you answer D, you are actually correct. Tandaan po natin. The computed values from a population is what we call parameter. Like if you compute for the mean and standard deviation of a population, what you have computed is an example of parameter. However, if you have computed for the sample, standard deviation or mean, basta galing sa sample, then yung na-compute mo ay tinatawag nating statistic. Para hindi po kayo ma-confuse, PP, population parameter, SS, sample statistic. That's why a population has a mean of IQ of 110, and this 110 is actually a parameter. Dahil sa population po siya kinompute. Pero kung sabi dito if a sample population has a sample has a mean of IQ of 110, so statistic po yan. Pero dahil population, parameter po yung tamang sagot. Next, 116. Wechsler adult intelligence scores are normally distributed with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 15. 95% of all respondents are expected to have intelligence scores within what? Did you go for 85 to 115, 70 to 130, 55 to 145? Or did you go for 40 to 160? What do you think po yung sagot sa 160? Letter B daw. May question mark nga lang kay Sir Jason. Okay. How about the others po? May question mark din yung kay Sir Chad. May sumagot ng letter C, 55 to 145. Okay. Now, to answer this question, it is important that we know our empirical rule, no? Sa ating normal curve. That is, di ba, sa empirical rule natin, meron tayong 68, 95, 99.7 rule. So ito po, di ba yung mean natin 100? Yung standard deviation natin 15. If you go from to the left, you are subtracting di ba yung standard deviation 15? Subtract ka ng 15 every time. 100 minus 15, 85. 85 minus 15, 70. 70 minus 15, 55. If you go to the right, you are adding the standard deviation. Plus 15, 115, plus 15, 130, plus 15, 145. At meron po tayong empirical rule, no? That is, within one standard deviation away, that is, in this case po, within one standard deviation away, from 85 to 115, approximately 68% of the scores are located there. Within two standard deviations away from the mean, that is, from 70 until 130, it is approximately 95% of the scores should be located there. And lastly, within three standard deviations away, around 99.7% of the scores are located here. And so therefore, dahil 95% po yung hinahanap natin, the correct answer is actually within 70 to 130, and that is letter B nga po. So sa lahat po ng sumagot ng B, good job. Congratulations. Tama po kayo. Okay. I hope nakuha po natin Now, let's proceed to item number 170. When do you say that the data is normally distributed? Is it A, when the median and mode are not the same? B, when the mean and median and mode do not belong to the same interval? C, when the median is greater than the mean is greater than the mode? Or D, when all three measures of central tendency are equal? What do you think? Okay, D. If you answer D, you are actually correct. Tandaan po natin, in a normal curve po, all the three measures of central tendency, namely the mean, median, and mode, are located in one location, in one place, and therefore all are equal. Letter D. Okay, so far so good. 118. There are 5 red, 7 yellow, and 4 green marbles in a bag. What are the odds against getting a yellow marble? Is it 7 to 9? B, 9 to 7. C, 7 to 16. Or D, 16 is to 17. Okay. Yes, I agree po, no? Yung ABC po, Sir Chad, kanina is skewed. Yung normal equal po yung tatlo. Thank you po. So how about for this number? When we say odds against, ano pong ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin po nun ay, tama nga ba ang B, 9 to 7? Let's see. When we say odds against an event, it is the ratio of unfavorable outcomes to favorable outcomes. So yung hindi pabor or yung not successful to successful. Yun po yung ratio niya. Dahil meron kang 5 red, 7 yellow, at 4 green, unfavorable yung 9, favorable yung 7. Di ba yellow yung gusto mo? Yellow yung gusto mong makuha. So 7 are favorable for yellow, whereas 5 plus 4, 5 red and 4 green, or 9 are unfavorable in getting a yellow marble. That's why the ratio is unfavorable to favorable. That's 9 is to 7. Letter B. Nakuha po natin? I hope po. Okay. Tumako po tayo sa 119. The probability that it will rain today is 0.45. And that I will bring an umbrella is 0.30. What is the probability that it will not rain today and I will bring an umbrella? Is it A, 0.135, B, 0.165, C, 0.315, or D, 0.385? Take note po ha, uulan, pero hindi magdadala ng umbrella. Sir Jason, Sir Crispin, Sir Chad, Ma'am Nurse mentioned about letter B. Let's check if that is right. From here, if the probability it will rain is 0.45, then the probability it will not rain is 1 minus 0.45 or 0.55 po. Ngayon, the probability na magdadala ka ng umbrella, sabi, is 30%, di ba? Or 0.30. And remember, for the probability of these two events, no? If you have the probability of A intersection B or the probability of A and B, it's actually equal to the product of the probabilities of A and the probability of B. At dahil dyan, if I let A to be the probability it will not rain, and the probability
in progress.
I said corrected, the probability it will not rain, and I will bring an umbrella. So if I let A to be the to be not rain, that it will not rain, and B, that I will bring an umbrella, and by substitution, the probability that it will not rain and I will bring an umbrella is equal to the probability that it will not rain times the probability that I will bring an umbrella. So if the probability it will not rain is 0.55, and the probability that I will bring an umbrella is 0.30, and by substitution po, that's 0.55 times 0.30, which is 0.165, letter B. So far, so good. And I hope we got it. 120. What does a probability of 1 indicate? A, uncertainty. A, certainty. B, uncertainty. C, vagueness. Or D, inexplicability. Okay, so I think this one, many are familiar with it. We know that probability ranges from 0 to 1. And a probability of 0 implies that something is impossible to happen. And a probability of 1 talks about certainty, that a certain event will surely happen. As the probability, if you have a probability of 0.5 or 1/2, there's an even chance it will happen or not. But as you get close to 0, the probability becomes smaller. And as you go near 1, the probability that it will occur becomes higher. Okay? So therefore, we could say that the correct answer here is letter what? Letter A, certainty. And with that concludes our review for tonight. Thank you very much, and a great day to one and all.